For more insight, let's bring in Jesse Byrnes, associate editor with the Hill newspaper. Jesse, thank you so much for joining us. What is your biggest takeaway from this week? Because we're focusing so much on the White House communications team shakeup, but there was a lot of other headlines that came out of the administration this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the big takeaway is that the White House is trying to retool its operation. They've been without a communications director since Mike Dubke left in May, and so this is an opportunity for them, even as Spicer said, for them to have a clean slate and try to really retool their operation. These ongoing Russia probes to the House, the Senate, and then also the one led by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, they're only escalating, and now that it's involving people like Jared Kushner and Donald Trump Jr., it's getting more and more personal for the president, and so having allies like Scaramucci in the fold would be seen as beneficial for him.
I do want to talk more about that, but before I do, you said that this is really an opportunity for a clean slate. That being said, there was a lot of focus on the president's interview with the New York Times and what was said about his attorney general. Is this an opportunity to start anew when that's not probably going to go anywhere, especially now that we have the Washington Post report that there could be new information from the conversations that Attorney General Jeff Sessions had during the campaign? Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on that. Their Democrats have already been calling for Sessions to come back to the Senate and testify. That would be the third time, if he did, that he would have to answer questions on his contacts with the Russians, which he initially didn't disclose. He said that it was only his capacity as an Alabama senator. But yeah, I think there's going to be continued pressure on him going forward, and the fact that Trump, it would be very difficult, of course, for him, and that's something that Republicans are going to be saying, for him to have a different attorney general to go through Senate confirmation. And so he's in a difficult position right now where he's publicly airing grievances that he's had apparently for months with Sessions over his recusal in the Russia probe, but it's a very difficult proposition, nearly almost impossible for him at this point to try to nominate someone else.
Were you surprised? I've asked this for a couple of folks covering the White House. Were you surprised when you saw that report in the New York Times? Also the timing. There was so much focus on things such as the health care law, and then all of a sudden it sort of felt like it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, absolutely. The Russia story had kind of fallen into the backlight for a number of days, and Trump himself brought it to the forefront by talking about how he was really angered and frustrated with his attorney general for recusing himself. And I think the read out of that is he doesn't like people to kind of signal any kind of weakness, and in his view, maybe that is kind of what happened with Sessions, saying that those contacts that he had with the Russians precluded him from having any kind of overseeing role with that probe.
I want to move forward with you because there certainly are so many things that we're going to be covering this week, but when it comes to the administration and when it comes to Russia, we are going to be hopefully learning more details, because we know Jared Kushner as well as Paul Manafort will be testifying. And if I'm not mistaken, and maybe you know, it's going to be a private meeting. If I'm not mistaken, it's on Wednesday, where they'll also be giving a number of pieces of evidence, such as documents and perhaps emails will be included in that. Are we going to be hearing from those two publicly this week?
We don't have any indication that that's going to happen. The Senate Judiciary Committee had really pushed. They have a public hearing on Wednesday, and they pushed for Trump Jr. and Paul Manafort, his former campaign chairman, Trump's, to appear before that committee in an open setting. They reached a deal as of yesterday, we understand, to avoid that public hearing and to instead negotiate to set up interviews and provide documents to that panel. And then over in the House, Jared Kushner is appearing before the House Intelligence Committee on Tuesday, and a day before that, he'll be appearing before the Senate Intelligence Committee. So a lot of moving parts in this story, and as I say, it's getting more personal for Trump now. That's involving his son-in-law, and it's involving his eldest son.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be standing by, because regardless of whether or not it's going to be public or private, we certainly learned bits and pieces of information. So we hope to have you back, Jesse Byrnes. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.